Hi, welcome to the WingX Pro7 video user course. This video describes the moving map in WingX Pro7. Extremely powerful. You can have a split screen moving map and a lot of other cool things on the moving map, such as terrain, airspaces, and so on. You can even overlay in-flight weather using the ADS-B system. So there's just an amazing amount of functionality and flexibility in the moving map. And this video course will show you how best to make use of all the features. And so let's get started. What I do recommend you do is, let's go back to the main menu. If we take a look at this button in the bottom right hand corner, help, if we click on that and then select moving map, you'll notice that WingX has a pretty comprehensive description of what each of the buttons does and how best to use them. Even if you are familiar with WingX's moving map, I strongly recommend that you go ahead and take a look at this page. It might give you some additional information and some things that you just might not know about the moving map and how best to use it. Let's go back and take a look at the moving map in WingX. So first of all, what you'll notice is a nice big full screen moving map, and what we're going to do is take a look at each of the buttons, starting in the top right hand corner and working our way around anti-clockwise to the bottom right. And while I'm doing that, I'll also show you some nice cool things about the moving map and what makes WingX's Pro7 moving map unique and just powerful, and why iFar magazine, AvConsume, and the others have basically said that WingX is the weapon of choice, and just said some very good things about it. And let's go see why. If you look in the top right hand corner, if you go ahead and tap on the lock button, you'll notice it changes to yellow, and then if you drag your finger over the moving map, WingX will ignore it. The reason for doing this is if you have your iPad with a nice big screen and you inadvertently drag your palm or your finger, or you just drag something over the screen, you don't want it scrolling off to some unknown position. So this way it just locks the touches, but you'll notice that in the background the moving map and everything still keeps working. So the only thing you've done by tapping on lock is to stop WingX from recognizing screen touches. That's it, but it's a great little thing to have, and I strongly recommend you use that. To the left of that, of the lock button, you'll see the brightness control. Go ahead and tap on that. With this slider, you can go ahead and change the brightness of the whatever you're looking at the moving map, whether it's a sectional, iFar, en route chart. If you're bouncing around in turbulence and you cannot quite put your finger on that slider, we have these discrete buttons for brightness, and so you can go ahead and use that. The nighttime charts button will change the approach charts, airport diagrams, stars, SIDS, all of those from black on white to white on black, and again for nighttime viewing. In the very top, notice how we very clearly show your ground track, your ground speed on the left, and your altitude. The reason we put these up at the top, and we never move them, we always put them up at the top, is because those are vital pieces of information. We don't want you looking in the corners of the sectionals, etc., to try to find that information. We put it right up at the top, and you'll see how this ties in very nicely with the waypoint information that that we will be describing in a couple of minutes. To the right, you'll notice the route button at the bottom. I'm sorry, at the left. So if you go ahead and tap on the route button, it'll show you the route. Right now we don't have a route in there because we haven't set one up. I'll go ahead and set one up just to show you how this works. But if we tap on the route button again, it will make it a little bit larger. And then if we tap on the route again, it'll go away. So that's what the route button does. Simply displays the route, displays it a little bit larger, or hides it. View 1. So again, remember I said that the moving map can have two views. Right now we're looking at view 1. It's the only view. So we can go ahead and change this to an iFar low en route, or we can change it to iFar a high en route chart. We can zoom in and zoom out as much as you want, just the usual pinch and drag. Notice how WingX overlays airports and VORs. So without digging into the iFar en route, we can take a look and see, for example, Modesto, the frequency is 114.6. It's right there. Very simple. View 2, we can go ahead and set that up as a sectional. So now what we have is an iFar en route on this side and a sectional on this side. Two completely separate moving maps. Very, very powerful. So that's what view 1 and view 2 do. View 1 is always your primary view that has your GPS information at the bottom left and your airspace notification in the bottom right, as well as your waypoint information. We just don't have waypoint information yet, but again, I'll be setting that up in a couple minutes when I show you how to configure a route. Right now, by the way, the GPS is, we're getting that information from the ADS-B receiver. It's WAS. If we were not getting WAS signal, this would say no WAS, and the color would change to white. If we were using the internal GPS or the external GPS, it would say HA equals or VA equals and some number of feet, and that's our horizontal and vertical accuracy. In the bottom right, WingX understands the environment that we are flying in. So we are currently flying in class Bravo. If you look on view 2, you'll see we're in class Bravo airspace, and it's 8,000 to 10,000. This node over there, class Charlie, actually refers to San Jose's airspace, which is further down below, but this airspace that we're in is actually San Francisco airspace. So you'll notice that WingX is showing class Bravo 8,000 to 10,000, and if we were in multiple airspaces or in the lateral boundaries of multiple airspaces, you would see them stacked one on top of the other. So it would have class Charlie, class Bravo, class Delta, whatever airspace we were in laterally, it would show, and it would be stacked up, and the highest airspace would be on top with the lowest on the bottom. So that way it gives just quickly you can see where you are. And in San Francisco, LA, New York, and some of the other busy areas, this is just extremely useful. Couple of the other buttons down there. Screen simply makes view 1 full screen and hides view 2. That's what it does. So you'll notice when you click on that, view 1 becomes the full screen, and if you click on it again, you get the split screen. Something new that's been added after version 5.01 is the swap button, and that simply swaps the two views. Now, what was view 2 is now view 1, and view 1 is now view 2. The reason for doing that is, let's say we're flying, let's say we have a VFR en route on the left, and we have an airport diagram on the right, and we've just landed. So now we want to see that airport diagram full screen. We can simply swap the screens, make the airport diagram view 1, and then just go ahead and tap on screen and make it full screen. So this was actually a highly requested feature, to be able to swap. And so you can swap to your heart's content. Actually looks kind of cool. In addition to those buttons, what's very unique about WingX is we can overlay additional information on top of the sectionals or the high-low IFR charts. So let me go ahead and zoom out a little bit. So now what you're seeing is we already have a lot of information overlaid. So you can immediately see what all these airports are, VOR frequencies, etc. You can look all around, and even if you zoom out and look at pretty much the whole US, you will see that WingX filters all that information. It's certainly not drawing all the airports, because that would just overload the screen into, you wouldn't be able to see anything. But it filters everything out, so you can, for example, you can see Fresno's down there, Phoenix. We can come along this way and start picking out airports. Denver's up there, and so on. So very, very useful. Albuquerque. You don't just get this kind of orange blob. You actually know where the airports are, and your situational awareness in those areas. So let's go ahead and zoom in, and I'll show you some of the other really nice overlaying features that we have in WingX Pro7's Moving Map. You can notice, by the way, how you can zoom in, which is really amazing on WingX Pro7. You can really zoom in as close in as you want. But let's go ahead and overlay some additional things onto the VFR sectional. So to do that, you tap on Options. So we can go ahead and overlay terrain. And you'll notice now that, let's go back to the sectional. So if you overlay the terrain, as I've done there, what WingX is doing is it will be showing you terrain that's above you. So all this red terrain to our south is above us. That's red. Anything that's yellow is at our altitude or slightly below. Very, very useful for when you're flying along, getting vectored around in the clouds, or if you VFR, you want to know if you're going to make it over a ridge that's in front of you. If that ridge is red, you're not going to make it over. Start climbing or find a lower terrain. So this terrain information is very, very useful. It's also very, very high resolution. So if you take a look, you'll notice we don't have the blocks. Everything's very, very high resolution. So just amazing information that you're getting there. We can also overlay. Let's go ahead and turn airspaces on, and we can turn airways on. You can basically turn whatever on, whatever options you want on, you can turn them on or turn them off. So now what WingX is going to do is it's going to show the terrain, it's going to show airspaces, and it's going to show the Victor Airways. So if we are interested, for example, in restricted area 2531, we don't have to go digging in the margins, we just tap on that, and it tells us that it's a restricted area. It gives us the frequencies, times, and everything we need to know about it. With the arrow, notice the arrow pointing to the restricted airspaces. So very, very useful. The airspaces, we can simply tap on, let's go ahead and tap right over there. And you'll notice what WingX does is it will tell us that we have class Delta, Hayward, surface to 1500. Then we have Oakland, 1500 to 21. And then we have San Francisco on top of that, class Bravo, 3000 to 10,000. So very, very quickly and very simply, you can get that information. If you were taking a look at a sectional, it would be almost impossible to quickly get that information there. So you can overlay pretty much whatever you want. Some additional nice things that we have, just to get a perspective of where we are and how fast we're traveling and when we're going to get someplace, is if you look ahead, you'll see there's a 3-minute marker out there and a 5-minute marker out there. If we zoom out, now what we're going to get is also a 15-minute marker. So there's a 3-minute, 5-minute, and 15-minute markers. Very, very useful to just look ahead and go, okay, we'll be kind of around the Sacramento area around 15 minutes time. Okay, so that pretty much covers these buttons, at least the primary functions in terms of setting up views and overlaying options on top of that. But a couple other things we can do is, for example, let's say we wanted to just overlay, let's turn these off and go ahead and show runway extensions. So now what WingX is going to do is show runway extensions, and let's go ahead and zoom into Byron. So now if we zoom in, you'll see that WingX is drawing the runway extensions, runway 05, runway 23, 30, and 12. If you want to change the lengths of those, so let's say you want to fly a 5 miles straight in, you can go ahead and tap on the settings button down there. And then under runways, you can go ahead and change this to 5 miles. And now the runway extensions will be 5 miles. A couple other things under the settings button. Options. You can show the next and final waypoints, and I'll show you how this is useful when we look at waypoints once we've set up the route. You can show the speed in terms of knots, miles per hour, or kilometers per hour. Snap to GPS location. If it's on, then when you move away from your current position, will the moving map automatically snap back? Do you want it to? If you do, turn it on, and after about 15 or 20 seconds, WingX will automatically just snap back to your current position. If you turn that off, then it won't. And the way you would get back to your current position is just tap on the location button in the bottom right, and that'll manually take you back to your current position. Something new after version 5.01 is centering aircraft. By default, WingX always centers the aircraft, but if you turn that off, then what WingX will do is show you more of what's in front of you and less what's behind you, which makes sense. You want to see what's coming up. You don't really care what you've flown past. So if you look down there, you can see that the airplane has been positioned where it shows most of what's in front of you. And as you turn, WingX will automatically reposition your aircraft to continue to show you what's in front of you, not so much what's behind you. So I recommend you leave this off. It's a new feature. Turn it off and let WingX use its magic and show your position in the best way possible.